these questions that were proposed to the department?
I don't think we have to go through them. I think because they've sent it late to us, we'll afford them the opportunity to address us on them. I think we can go to the next.
The next one,
Yeah.
Chair. Yes, I think I get it. The next one will be. Okay.
Maybe just to understand, the analysis you're providing, is it a combined analysis or you did it separately, non-financial and financial?
This is non-financial, Chair.
So we are going to get another analysis for financial. There's, I think you maybe moving forward, you need to, because you are one unit, you should be combining your analysis. Once we have a joint committee, it should be a combined analysis that provides financial and non-financial.
The next department, it's Department of Public Works.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. For continuity purposes, may I request honorable members that I proceed with the financial analysis of HS, if that is permissible.
Yes, I've got no problem, but I think we must just get Honorable Khwabane. He's just going to get some coffee. When he comes in, I think we can start with your financial part then.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Mobakeng, you can continue, but we haven't received these presentations.
Yes, Chairperson, we have received the expenditure report of the department early hours this morning, Chair, so I worked throughout the night.
Okay.
Yes, honorable members, note that all the research protocols of analyzing the document of the department have been followed by the research institution of the research unit of the legislature. The outline of our presentation will be as follows. Overall expenditure and program performance, economic classification, economic goods and services, conditional grants, and earmarked funding programs, creditors. Honorable members, it is important that you note that we are dealing with second quarter expenditure and that the percentage that the department should spend for second quarter, which is 50%. So when we look at the 5 programs of this department, I'm not going to state the numbers, but importantly that I stated the percentage spent per program. On program of housing and development, which is program 3, the department spent 65%. Program 1, administration, 58, housing needs, research and planning, 40%. Housing needs management, program 4, they've spent 36%. Members, for program 2 and program 4, the department has underspent. The figures are stated there. And the midpoint is supposed to be 50% on our members. On economic classification and goods and services performance, the department has showed high utilization of funds allocated to goods and services, which is 82% expenditure. And for household, they've spent 67, meaning they've overspent. However, on COE, they stood at 49%, and machinery and equipment is 54. Of critical importance on our member, while over goods and services expenditure is high at 82% on the specific items, operating lease, transport equipment, and expenditure on kilometer claims, it's way above the norm. In contrast, items like the audit fees that the order next to me, your office has been paid 98%. Would be interested to find out from you if there's money being owed to your office. 98% of their debt has been paid, 98%. Operating system licenses, 100% has been paid. For program 2, housing needs, research and planning, the department has only spent 9% of its goods and services budget, indicating a significant lack of operational activity in this area, which correlates with its low overall program expenditure, which is at 40%. On conditional grants, the department has utilized 381 million cash received from conditional grants, equating to 93% utilization of cash received. For this grant of housing settlement development grant, it achieved 65 spending overall. However, certain intervention areas show very low expenditure, particularly in this grant on individual housing subsidies, it's 14%. And HBRC, nothing has been spent there. The housing finance linked individual subsidy program, 44% is spent. The earmarked expenditure here on the demolition and construction of 2-roomed houses funds showed a 0 expenditure. as at September. For now, we are in the third quarter, we wouldn't know. However, the funds have been committed through the appointment of 10 contractors and a professional resource team with expenditure anticipated to be recorded by end of 2025, October. On creditors, payment compliance, there's a deviation there. The reason for this deviation is non-compliance, which was attributed to the informal settlement upgrading partnership grant, where invoices could not be paid due to the department having insufficient funds. The conditional grant invoices, which relates to the bus system, reveals that 75 invoices of total conditional grant invoices were processed were not paid over the 30-day period, and other 21 invoices. Here are the remedial actions that the department came with, that they say they have submitted requests to the National Department of HS for additional funding on that particular grant, to utilize a portion to fund the infrastructure, that grant, for the shortfall that is having. The unpaid invoices are prioritized for the November 2025 allocation. So on this one, I think it will be a question for consideration during the third quarter review. From the research, I don't know if members can see it clearly. From research point of view, we recommend, based on the performance data of this department, we recommend that underperforming programs, the department must urgently develop and implement a catch-up plan for Program 2 and Program 4. Specific focus be placed on Program 2, goods and services expenditure, which is very low on spending. It's at 9%. Second recommendation would be control financial irregularities and overspending. There should be immediate measures that must be taken to investigate and halt the massive overspending observed in the operating leases. The transport equipment and kilometer claims management must implement strict expenditure controls to ensure that the budget lines do not derail the overall financial plan in the remaining of the financial year. That the department should resolve conditional grants payment issues, given that the inability to pay that specific grant invoices due to the insufficient funds caused the compliance deviation. The department must secure the requested funding adjustment either through additional funds or utilize the grant on human settlement development to ensure compliance that is restored and service providers are paid promptly. The department should expedite this grant. Specific strategic intervention is required for low-performing housing development grant, particularly the enrollment of NHBRC and individual housing subsidies. A reason for this, these two grants addresses service delivery outputs in the province. Monitoring of earmarked funding activation. The committee should receive an immediate update on whether the projected expenditure for the demolition and construction of 2 roomed houses was recorded by the end of October 2025 as planned. I have drafted the possible questions for honorable members to can pose to the department. If allowed, I won't go through them. I have sent the document in the group for members to can pose to the department. I thank you, honorable members.
Dave, she's the new manager for researchers. So what they've just recommended that once we have joint committees, research work also be combined so that we have one presentation. So we have just given the message to the relevant person, the manager of researchers.
No, thank you, but can you, I haven't received the presentation. If you can just send it to us, maybe the other two as well, or the other presentations, you're going to do the finances on the other departments as well.
I'm only going to do the public works because I have their information. The others I have not received, honorable
Okay,
members.
maybe just send that one to us as well.
Okay, I will send to I'm not in part of the infrastructure group, but I will request for committee coordinators to just add me so that I can send.
If it's in our group,
Then you'll forward it. Okay, thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you. I think we must just get those questions because that wasn't posed to them, the honourable members, so that we can ask the department some of those questions. I think we can then continue to Public Works, the non-financial part. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Annual Report 2024-25 financial year. Non-financial performance report. The Department of Public Works and Infrastructure is in a state of chronic stagnation and operational ineffective. While it has maintained an unqualified audit opinion for 5 consecutive years, this is a low benchmark and marks severe and underlying issues. The department is characterized by persistent non-compliance with legislation, weak financial health, poor infrastructure project delivery, and a culture of lacking in accountability and consequence management. Its core mandate is to provide and maintain provincial government building infrastructure. It's being severely undermined, which has a cascading negative effect on other government departments' ability to deliver service. Under audit outcomes and financial health, audit outcome, unqualified with findings for the 5th consecutive year. This indicates the financial statements are fairly presented but contained material misstatements that had to be corrected, and there are serious failures in compliance and performance management. Stagnation is a key theme. The department has made no progress towards a clean audit. Under financial health, precocious, close call to going concern. This is a major red flag suggestion the department's ability to continue operating in the near future is in doubt. Large deficit. A deficit of 967 million for the year indicates spending significantly exceed revenue. Cash shortfall, 6.7 million, meaning it lacks the case It lacks the cash to meet its immediate obligations. Massive future payables. It's 2.37 billion owed against future budgets, indicating poor budget management and occurring unsustainable future debt. The next page. The high claims. High claims against the department stand at 895 million, a drastic increase from 53 million previous year, pointing to potential litigation and contractual disputes. Key areas of failure. Compliance with legislation. The department constantly fails to adhere to key laws and regulations. Material findings included financial statement, not prepared correctly initially required material corrections, irregular and fruitless expenditure. No effective steps are taken to prevent this. Under supply chain management, SCM, perceived non-compliance in procurement, e.g. no signed contracts, not obtaining required quotes, compliant contractors. Consequence management, a critical failure, no discipline steps up taken against officials who incur irregular or fruitless expenditure. Payment of suppliers. The payment of suppliers are not made within the legal required 30 days, harming service providers and project timelines. Asset management. Proper systems are not in place to safeguard public assets. Under performance and service delivery, the department performs in its primary functions is extremely poor. Program, the public works infrastructure, they achieved only 30.77% of its annual targets were met. Under budget spending, they spent 99.23% of its budget. This massive disparity between expenditure and achievement indicates profound inefficiency, poor planning, and a failure to deliver value for money. Under key targets not met, capital projects, they only managed to achieve 8 of 13 awarded, only 9 of 22 completed. Maintenance project, they achieved nothing. They awarded only one of 2 completed. Renewable energy projects, they achieved 7 of 13 completed. Infrastructure design, 1 of 3 ready to tender. Under impact, this failure directly compromises service delivery across the provincial government, affecting schools, hospitals, and other public facilities that rely on the Department of Public Works for infrastructure. On the next page, page 3. Procurement and contract management. This is a high-risk area with clear regression. Findings, including a lack of signed contracts, failure to obtain competitive quotes, and contracts not prepared in accordance with standard conditions. The root cause, internal control failure, failures within the contractor management unit. There is a lack of oversight and standardized process. The impact leads directly to irregular expenditure and poor value for money. Irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. The department has a significant growing problem with unauthorized spending. Irregular expenditure annually, it's 15 million for 2024-25 financial year. Closing balance, it's 638 million, up from 623 million. The status, it's 637.5 million is not yet investigated. This massive backlog show a complete lack of consequence management. Fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Annual, it's 7.8 million for 2024-25 financial year. The closing balance is at 26.4 million. The status, the entire balance is not yet investigated. Under infrastructure delivery and maintenance, an in-depth look at two key projects, relatively systematic failures across the project life cycle. Projects audited, major refurbishment of Tateletsong Clinic, Home and Tusanong Building. Findings, delays in completion, poor workmanship, inadequate project planning, ineffective quality control, late payments of contract. The impact, delays directly affect the relocation of essential social development services, e.g., counseling children's programs. On the next page, page 4. High risk of escalated costs, root cause and cultural issues. Strategic objectives of department are not monitored, and there is a lack of focus on continuous improvement. Consequences, non-performance of transgressions are not applied. The huge backlog in investigating irregular expenditure is the clearest evidence of this. Reporting of department shows lack of transparency, wherein reporting is inaccurate and unreliable. Internal controls exist on paper, but are not effectively implemented or monitored. Instability, high turnover in leadership with 3 difficult heads of department HODs is a single financial in a single financial year. There's a high turnover in leadership with 3 different HODs in a single year. That's crippling strategic direction and accountability. Proposed recommendations. The recommendations are proposed as follows. The department should assess quality. The department should assess quarterly if annual targets will be achieved and take corrective action. The department should also address non-compliance in revenue and expenditure management. The department should enforce standard operating procedure for both performance reporting and financial record keeping between programs and finance. The department should investigate and finalize investigations in irregular and fruitless expenditure and implementation of consequence to prevent recurrence. Chairperson, there are questions that were proposed and then they were sent to the department. The department, they did send the answers, but they the responses, but they responded yesterday around about 7 o'clock in the evening. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Bandile. Chair, are we going to do the financial part as well? Okay. Okay. Maybe let's continue to the, is it only those two that you're gonna,
Only those two to continue with the
Up, based upon what? Up, based upon what? Have we found that within the department? Thank you, Chairperson.
thank you, Bandile.
Chairperson. I don't know whether I will be able to answer that because this department is being done by Bandile. He's the one maybe who can.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine. Thank you. You can continue to the second quarter report.
Chair, this is the second quarter of Public Works. I'll just go straight to Program 1, Administration. Designated employee compliance with financial disclosure. They planned 100% and then they achieved only 98%. Then the reason for deviation is there. And then the question, will this underachievement have a negative outcome on the annual target? That is the question that we asked them. The Program 1 Administration, percentages of valid invoices paid within 30 days. They've planned to achieve 100 and they achieved only 96. Those are the reasons for deviation. Then the question was, what is plan of the department to ensure that the compliance issues are in place? How is the department planning to implement this plan? Then on Program 2, Public Works Infrastructure, number of posts filled. They planned to fill 13. Their target was 13 and then they managed to do 5. The reason for deviation is there. The question, may the department please provide more details on the reason for deviation on this performance indicator. Then under Program 2, Public Works and Infrastructure, the number of construction projects completed. They plan to do 12. Their target was 12 and they just achieved only 2. The question is, how is the department planning to remedy these issues relating to each progress that has been delayed? And then under program 2 again, number of renewable energy backup system projects. They plan to do one. Their target was 1 for the second quarter, but they achieved nothing. May the department please provide the portfolio committee with the reason for deviation on this performance indicator. Number of renewable energy backup system projects completed. Their target was 6, but they achieved nothing. Question, may the department please detail how they are going to ensure that issues with all projects are resolved? Can the department assure the portfolio committee that the annual target will be achieved by the end of the financial year? The next slide, that's number of infrastructure designed ready for tender process. They planned to achieve 3, but they achieved nothing. May the department provide the committee with the current status quo of Gelfontein Primary School. May the department provide committee with an effective contingency plan on Old Reserve Bank and Free State House Phase 3. Number of work opportunities. The department on the second quarter, they've planned to achieve 1,450, but they managed only to achieve 1,314. May the department provide committee on the status quo of service level agreements. That's the second quarter of Public Works, Chair.
And I go to
Thank you. I think you can do the human settlement one as well.
Yes, Chair. I'm gonna do it now. Let's just flight it. Where is it? If I let it, I'll show you.
human settlement.
Second quarter. Takes time. I'm gonna do the second quarter, Chair, for human settlement. As I said, they did respond on the questions that we did send to them. Under program 1 administration, percentage of valid invoices paid within 30 days. They've planned to achieve 100% on the second quarter, but they only achieved 95%. The reason for deviation is there. Questions are, may the department explain to the committee that how many service providers were not paid and when are they going to be paid? Then number of
Sorry, but these answers are not in here.
Oh, let me check the other one, Chair. Sorry.
Unless I miss it.
Yeah. There are. O tshwanetse ke check yane nngwe.
Chair, I think next time we need to, I mean, this is again not working with the short, I mean, we've posed the questions Friday to them. We've received them last night. We're not organized. We must, next time maybe in advance give it, I don't know, a time frame. It doesn't work out according to me. But I mean, we now jumping around and we haven't got answers. We're not properly prepared. So I think maybe next time we should, I don't know how, but we should address the matter.
Sorry, Chair, for delay. Here is the correct one that has responses. Yes. Were affected by non-payment of invoices. So the other question was, when are they going to be paid? The response was 6 of the 7 service providers have been paid subsequent to the end of the second quarter. The outstanding invoices are dependent on availability of budget. The National Department of Human Settlement has been engaged on the issuing of additional funding request. Then the number of internal audits. This one, I don't know what happened with the question. Can I please pass it, Chair? Yeah, I think there was something happened with the question because you can see there's no question here. I've made a mistake on that one. But the program 3, housing development, number of projects and houses enrolled in NHBRC. They've planned to, the planned target was 1,500. They achieved only 438. The question made your technical reports. Number of informal settlements completed in phase 2. Phase 2. They plan to achieve 3, and then they achieved nothing. May the department explain to the committee that how did this non-achievement impacted on the service delivery of the department? Response was to say, continue occupation without secure tenure by the resident of the informal settlement. Because residents in the informal settlement are not formally settled, access to basic municipal service is delayed. Number of housing units completed. They plan to achieve 549, but they only achieve 109. What caused the disputes with contract? The response was to say the dispute was due to contractor claiming items already covered or paid for under subsequent quantum milestone. What did this underachievement impacted on the service delivery? The response was qualifying beneficiaries could not get houses. Then what will be the strategy for the department in ensuring that the target is achieved in subsequent quarters? The response was to say 9 new contractors were appointed and are supported to ensure that houses are built and annual targets are achieved. Then the number of asbestos roofs removed and replaced in line with asbestos apartment regulations removed completed. They plan to, their target that they've planned is 60, and then they achieved nothing. What caused delays in procurement? Because on their reason for deviation, they stated there. So the question was, what caused the delays in procurement? Response was, the delay was caused by the Housing Development Agency, slow procurement process. How did this non-achievement impacted on the service delivery? The response was to say, this underperformance meant that qualifying beneficiaries did not get their houses rectified and continue to live under the hazardous asbestos roof materials. On program 3 housing development, number of community residential areas CRU delivered. They planned to achieve 102. That was their target. They achieved nothing. When will the electricity be connected in units? The response was to say electrification of Dark City, Silver City is intended to through the service level agreement of SLA, which Centlec and the process will be conducted by 30 November. Will be concluded by 30 November. 2025. ESCOM is being engaged for electrification of G-Hostel, including the implementation of alternative energy sources such as generators, power plant off grid. How did this non-achievement impacted on the service delivery? The response was to say this underperformance meant that qualifying tenants will not be accommodated before 31st December, as it was previously anticipated. What will be the strategy of the department in ensuring that the target is achieved in the subsequent quarters? The response was to say, ESCOM is being engaged. I think this response is the same as this one on top, that they engage the ESCOM for electrification of G-Hostel, including implementation of alternative energy sources such as generators and power plants off grid. Then the percentage level of maintenance fees paid in respect of properties belonging to the department. They plan to achieve 100%. That was their target, but they only achieved 59. May the department explain to the committee that how did this underachievement impacted on the service delivery? The response was to say levels for 2 properties were not paid in the second quarter, and this constitutes 41% of the total assets under the department. There are, we know, serious delivery challenges experienced, as the matter will be addressed in retrospect to pay for the outstanding levies for the 2 properties in the third quarter. So they are saying they will do that in the third quarter. Number of properties transferred to beneficiaries and evolved to municipalities. They plan to achieve 30 in the second quarter, but they only achieved 14. May the department explain to the committee that what is the plan of the department in dealing with the following challenges: security risk, illegal invasion, and lack of documentation. The response was to say the department, through the service delivery intervention officers and the anti-corruption unit, will engage law enforcement agencies to accompany officials that will be conducting the verification process at an agreed convenient date for all affected parties. And then they further carry on by saying all the affected municipalities are currently being engaged to accept these properties through council resolutions, and the department will do deed of donation to the respective municipalities upon conclusion of the process. The verification process will still continue, and this includes the legal process to determine the heirs in the cases of deceased estates. The department, together with affected municipalities, will fast-track eviction process in the case of illegal occupation. Then number of the title deeds registered. The department's target for second quarter, they plan to achieve 628, but they only achieved 58. May the department explain to the committee that what is the department's plan in dealing with issues of capacity for the current conveyancers. The response is, they said the department has appointed 4 additional conveyancers to increase capacity to register the title deeds for beneficiaries, to ease the administrative bottleneck